Hi guys, it's me Samara. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a video on Trinidad and Tobago folklores and legends. Today I am going to be reading them from the website Caribbean History Archives. It was published on Friday, the 5th of August 2011, and it will be linked down below. A disclaimer: Trinidad, a lot of Trinidadian and Tobagonian legends and a lot of our culture comes from France. So a lot of the words that you hear will be French, or will come from France. So let's start with one of the well-known ones. So if I look up, that is because I'm reading it off of my MacBook. So let's start with the Sukuya. She is the old woman who lives alone at the end of a village road. Seldom seen, her house always closed up as she sleeps away the day. As evening draws near, she stays in sheds her old wrinkled skin, which she deposits into mortar that she hides away carefully. Now, as a glowing ball of flame, she rises up through the roof, and with a shrill cry that sets the village dogs howling, she flies through the night in search of a victim, and she would suck his life-blood from him clean. As the blessed day dawns, she makes a beeline through the forest for her home, finds the mortar with her wretched skin, and proceeds to put it on. But something's wrong. It burns like fire. It seems to shrink and slide away. Skin, kin, you not know me, she sings, crooning softly, pleading to the wrinkled, dreadful thing. You not know me, old skin. Then, with horror, she realizes the dreadful thing that has been done. The village boys and men have filled her skin with coarse salt and pepper, and will soon come and get her. With a drum of boiling tar, the priest and his silver cross, the church bells, and then the end. This is a witch's story. One has to be very careful about witch stories because women often outlive their husbands and end up owning house and land. It is easy to suspect that the old woman who lives alone is a Sukuya, so that what she has could be taken from her. Sukuya comes from the French word soupçon, sorry, don't know how to say that, which means suspicion. Now, let us move on to the Ligahu or the Garu. I don't know how to speak French, guys. Sorry. Is the Ligahu or the Loup-Garou is the shape changer of Trinidad's folklore. He has his origins in the opium man, the poisoner on the estate from slavery days. The master is cruel. The ox falls onto his knees in the field. There is fire in the mountains. The mistress's back is raised with fiery welts every time he beats the old woman who is in charge of the chamber pots. A fellow slave can no longer live in this misery. He gives her what she needs to go home. With emancipation, he is the old magic-dealing man of a district who is both feared and respected, not only for his facility to change his form to that of a vicious animal, but also because he has the power over nature. From him, charms and bush medicine are also readily available for a price. At times, the apparition may take form of a coffin being carried through the streets. The coffin and its gruesome attendant were once used to facilitate the uninterrupted transportation of bush rum. This effect would virtually ensure its safe passage. At another time, the Ligahu becomes the science man. He reads from the Tetel and other forbidden books. He can make a deal with the devil for you in exchange for your soul. He would you would become famous, go viral, and become rich beyond your wildest dreams. It is said that those powers are handed down in some old families from one generation to the next, and that is why there are so many Ligahus among us. Now, along with that whole nature thing, we are going to move on to one of the most well known folklore legend stories of Trinidad and Tobago, Papaboa. Papaboa is the most widely known of all folklore characters. He is the old man of the forest and is known by many names, including Maitre Bois or Master of the Woods and Daddy Bouchon, Hairy Man. Papaboa appears in many different forms, sometimes as a deer or in old raggedy clothes, sometimes hairy and though very old, extremely strong and muscular, with cloven hoofs and leaves growing out of his beard. As the guardian of the animals and the custodian of the trees, he is known to sound a cow's horn to warn his friends of the approach of hunters. He doesn't tolerate killing for killing's sake and the wanton destruction of the forest. There are many stories of Papapoa appearing to hunters. Sometimes he turns into a deer that would lead the men deep into the forest, and he would suddenly resume his true shape, to issue a stern warning, then to vanish, leaving the hunters lost or perhaps compelling them to pay a fine of some sort, such as to marry Mama Glo. If you should meet with Papapoa, be very polite. Bonjour, vieux papa, or mon petit maître should be your greeting. If he pauses to pass the time with you, stay cool and do not look at his feet. Moving on to his wife, Mama Glo, or Mama Glo with a G, whose name is derived from the French Maman de l'eau, which means mother of the water. It's one of the lesser known personalities of Trinidad and Tobago folklore. A hideous creature, her lower half takes the form of an anaconda. She thought is sometimes thought to be the lover of Papa Bo, and old hunters tell the stories of her coming upon them in the high woods. They also tell of hearing a loud cracking sound, which is said to be the sound made by her tail as she snaps it on to the surface of a mountain pool or a still lagoon. Mortal men who commit crimes against the forest, like burning down trees or indiscriminately putting animals to death, or fouling the rivers, could find themselves married to her for life, both this one and the one to follow. Sometimes she takes the form of a beautiful woman, singing silent songs on still afternoons, sitting at the water's edge in the sunlight, lingering for a golden moment. A flash of green, gone. Nothing but a big mortar blue, rising in the sunbeams. If you were to meet Mama Glo in the forest and wish to escape her, take off your left shoe, turn it upside down, and immediately leave the scene, walking backwards until you reach home. Now we move on to something a little bit more scary, as these were not scary enough for you guys. So now we move on to the duendes. The duendes are the spirits of children who died before they were baptized, and as such are fated to roam the forests of Trinidad, practicing their wide repertoire of pranks, mostly on living children who are enticed away into the forest and then left abandoned. Duendes are sexless, their feet are turned backwards, and they have no faces, although they do have small round mouths. On their rather large heads they wear mushroom-shaped straw hats. To prevent the duendes from calling your children into the forest at dusk, never shout their names in open places, as duendes will take their names, call them, and lure them away. The story is told of a man called Latisk who was riding home one night. As he passed the big silk cotton tree at the corner of Belmont Circular Road and the Savannah, he heard a baby crying. So he stopped and picked it up, thinking he would take it home for the night and carry it to the orphanage in the morning. Cycling along, he was reduced into a state of absolute terror by the time he reached the hospital, when he realized that the child was getting bigger and heavier. Suddenly, the child said in a man's voice, "You better take me back to where you found me," which the terrified Latif did at once. As he drew near the tree, the child shrank steadily back into its original size and was deposited once more, a bawling baby, at the foot of the giant tree. Now we move on to the silk cotton trees. You might wonder how a tree can be a folklore character, but for many centuries the majestic towering canopy of silk cotton tree, known also known as the ceiba, kapok, or jumbi tree, has held a fantastical place in the lore of some Caribbean cultures. The first people on Trinidad, the Amerindians, believed that such a tree was a dwelling place for spirits and revered it accordingly. Later, when the Africans were brought to the island, they also bestowed a healthy respect upon the tree, even refusing to cut it down for timber. Their refusal to uproot the silk cotton tree is still a persistent blight on matters such as town planning in the Caribbean. Engineers and other workers will simply refuse to remove this tree, even when it interferes with their carefully constructed plans. Disturbing the malevolent spirits inside instills a great fear in many who grew up hearing stories about the tree's vengeance. According to the law, if you have the audacity to chop down or cut away any part of the silk cotton tree, you will be struck dead immediately. No second chances, no leniency, just death instantly. Apart from this terrifying prospect, it is wise to give the tree a wide berth anyways. Other folklore characters are its cohorts, like the La Diablesse who lures men into the forest before killing them. Clearly, the spirits inside just want to be left alone. Just like humans, we all want our privacy, so respect that. Now, speaking of La Diablesse, we are going to read you her story. La Diablesse, the devil woman of Trinidad and Tobago folklore, is sometimes personified as an old crone who steps forth with her cloven hoof from behind a tree on a lonely road. The sound of chains mingled with the rustle of her petticoat. Sometimes she takes the form of a beautiful woman to lure some unsuspecting passerby to his death, or perhaps to madness. Sometimes she appears as a tall, handsome Creole woman who, with swinging gait and erect structure, passes through a cane or a cocoa field at noon and catches the eye of a man who proceeds to follow her and, never being able to catch up with her, her feet hardly touch the ground, finds himself lost, bewildered, far from home, and he is never himself again. She may have a bag of bones, graveyard dirt, and shells. She may cast a spell and be perceived as a young, desirable woman, her rich perfume blending with the smell of damp and decaying things. Although she may appear young, she'll be dressed in the ancient costume of these islands. A brilliant madras turban, chemise with half sleeves, and much embroidery and lace. Zaping tremblant, sorry, means trembling pins of gold, and all the finery of the bygone days. If you feel you may encounter a la diablesse on your way home, take off all of your clothes, turn them inside out, and put them on again. This will surely protect you from la diablesse. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this wasn't too freaky for you. But if you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like and a thumbs up, and if you guys want some more, comment down below for videos like this because I really love doing videos like this. And growing up in Trinidad, I have heard so much of these stories. I grew up with it. That's why I'm very superstitious. I mean, the Caribbean is a very superstitious place. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in the Caribbean that is very unexplainable, I would say. But I have a new cat and you will see him in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye. Remember, you are always loved.